Hey, so we're back from a dead battery situation with Julius Juicebox Walker Part 2. Julius, the last words that the recording got for you were Tuco Tocos. And so we were just talking right before we started recording again about all the potential UFC matchups that you think are appealing to you. And especially, dude, like I don't like to be a super naysayer. Like light heavyweight when I came to the sport was a mythical weight class where
Mhm.
people like Chuck Liddell and Rampage Jackson existed. So how it exactly exists today is one thing, but then like heavyweight, and I said this to you the first time, this is a weight class that you're more athletic than 99.99% of the dudes in that weight class. Just off like your athletic background alone. But like the problem is you're a super active fighter. And if you want to make your way up in heavyweight, it's easy to look impressive, but it's not as easy to get three, four fights in the same year
Mhm.
against guys that prove that you're at that certain level. So, guys at the weight classes that you could see you fighting in, because I think at this point, like with your next fight being at heavyweight, you have to at least entertain the possibility that if they offer you Jake Collier on a moment's notice or something like that, like
Hey,
if
Jake
guys
Collier's
become,
actually my dude. He's a cool
yeah,
dude. He's a Missouri boy.
well, you see what I'm saying? Like, you know exactly like there's a lot of heavyweights out there that I think that, you're on a comparable level to, especially with your level of athleticism. So who are some more guys? You mentioned Tuco Tokos, and Ozzy Diaz because they have like kind of a similar opponent history as you. But like, what are some of your thoughts as to some potential UFC matchups? I know you have a lot of them.
So Tuco and Ozzy are two guys that I'm like, that to me, that's a great debut matchup. Both of them, I think, are 0-2 in the UFC and are probably on like a winner go home type scenario. And they usually give those guys debuts from what I've seen. So I think those are two guys I like. And then saying I get a win to start off, I think a couple other guys that would make a lot of sense that would be really cool would be the Navajo Sterling fight. I think that's a really cool clash of styles because he's definitely a better striker than I am, but I'm definitely a better grappler than he is, and we're both really young and athletic and tall. And then the other one I thought of was Zhang Mingyang because that dude's sweet. Like his fights are cool. He knocks people out. That's another guy. He's also really young. I think me and him could potentially have a really fun fight. And then the other last person I thought of was the what's his name, the Aslan, Ebo Aslan. This guy, I think he's another guy 2-0, two knockouts, like fun fighter. He goes in there and he swings and he has good fights. So like those are the kind of guys that I think would be fun for somebody like me to fight because it's a little bit of a clash of styles. It's like who's going to impose their will type deal.
And there's Evo Oslan, and then there's someone like with a very similar name, like Evo Erslan, that like just fought and he was making his debut from either KSW or Octagon too. Like, there's a bunch of fun light heavyweight matchups for you.
I would also fight both of the light heavyweights that fought yesterday, 100%. Both
Dude,
of them.
yeah, like I think like we see a card like yesterday, and it only greater emphasizes that like this is a level that you are at this point. So Julius, we've had the opportunity to have a great. Go ahead. I can see that we're lagging a little bit. What did you just say?
No, I didn't even say anything.
Okay, never mind then. So. Given all of that, man, like first of all, it was great to have you back on the podcast. It was great to see what you were able to do over this last year, especially after we talked. And like, very clearly you have made your way onto people's lists of names to watch in 2025 in regional MMA, people looking to break into the bigger levels. So thank you very much for being here again today. It was great to talk to you again. And if you have anything that you want to say or anybody you want to shout out, mentioning sponsors, the floor is yours.
I appreciate you big time, brother. Shout out to some of my sponsors. Shout out to Elite Fab Works, Kenny Bajik. He's been sponsoring me since day one, always has. Sigwo Industries. Man, those are some good dudes over there. Kurt Marlette, Stephen Cole. they've sponsored me. They've sponsored me, since I think my first or second pro fight. And they've always came through. Like I'll make a sponsorship post and boom, they'll send me whatever I need. So huge shout out to those guys. Shout out to Team Fusion West Plains, Med Reed. He's always supported me, been in my corner. Shout out to Brett Majors. Brett Majors has sponsored me and helped me out a ton. He's got me connections, helped me meet guys that are great sponsors. Shout out to my Team Fusion. Shout out to my coach Brad Montgomery. Shout out to my strength and conditioning coach Taylor Ramsdale. He's going to be in the corner for Beeville versus Better BF. He's also his strength conditioning coach, so check that fight out. Shout out to my boxing coach Will Grover. Shout out to my beautiful wife Paige Walker, my daughters Rainey and Josie, and my little sisters. They've been nagging me for a shout out. Sometimes I haven't given them their shout out. So shout out to my two baby sisters, Alyssa and Olivia Minnis.
All right, well, folks, thank you very much for listening to the first interlude episode of the year 2025 for RotoBallers official MMA podcast. Tap that. Got UFC 311 coming up this upcoming week. And folks, most importantly, if anything that you're taking from today, it's that pay attention to the name Julius Juicebox Walker and what he's up to in the year 2025. Pay attention to what he does at Peak FC, competing for their heavyweight championship on February 22nd. Folks, thank you very much for listening. Have yourselves a great week and peace.